I have recently learned about myself and about women in the workplace. I have been working as an administrative assistant at my current job for 8 years, and recently I got a new King Dude boss. He's been at my job for about 2 months now, and in these 2 months I have been so lucky. I was able to sit down with our outsourced HR department and with him, and we got to talk about a few things, like here's something I learned is that if you're new and you're king boss dude, like it's okay for you to strut around the office like you're king boss dude, you know what I mean? Because you're new. And if the 8-year employee might be maybe offended a little bit by something you say, hey, cut him some slack. He's new king boss dude. What do you know, he works with only girls. So what if he offended you? Something else I learned is women, we must always sit in a dainty manner. We must always be very dainty ladies, because if we don't, we're going to be perceived as having negative body language, So just make like a mannequin, ready to work. The other thing I learned is that women should always speak in hushed tones. Hushed tones, because if you raise your voice or just talk in a normal indoor voice, well, it's going to be perceived as yelling. And we know that yelling is unacceptable and unprofessional, okay? So I'm really excited to take everything that I have learned and go to a new company. But I'm not the only one that is looking for advice. I was reading in a newspaper recently, there was an advice column, and a gentleman wrote in and he said, how do I signal that I'm DTF without looking sleazy? I was like, well, it's pretty simple, dude. Just don't use the term DTF. We can start with that one. Or here's something, maybe pretend that you're interested in what your, love conquest has to say, just like they say in showbiz, you can fake it till you make it, Maybe you take an acting class, like, just sit in solemn silence while you touch my cock. Something I think would work for me is the James Bond approach, where it's like you wear a tuxedo or a really nice suit up top and just nothing on the bottom, So you're like, class act uptown, motor town down bottom, like, clear signal, buddy. And what as a female, what I like to do is I just kind of waft my scent. Just like, oh, is that apple pie? My goodness. I would love a slice. You're welcome. The window's open. So, I don't want to brag, but I'm pretty healthy. And by healthy, I mean like I don't get sick very often, not healthy like, my goodness, she definitely works out and watches what she eats, By this dad bod that I'm rocking, it's clear that I'm a work in progress, what I'm talking about. So, but I did get sick recently. I woke up with a rash on my bod, and so I did what every 35-year-old single woman does, is I took a picture of it and I sent it to my mom. And I was like, hey mom, does this look like a rash? And she's like, well yes Kelly, it does. And I was like, she's like, well have you changed your laundry detergent? And I was like, well obviously no, because I do my laundry at your house still. I didn't do that, And then she's like, well have you changed your diet? And I was like, obviously not. You're welcome, And so she's like, well, I think you should go to the doctor. I was like, okay. So I went to work and I asked my work mom, and I was like, hey, so my real mom said I should see the doctor. Come here into this not so private room. Do you think I should go to see the doctor? And she was like, well, yeah, that looks like a rash, Kelly. And I was like, okay. So I called the doctor, and they're like, well, your doctor can't, she's not in today, but one of her associates can go see you. And I was like, okay, great. So I went on my lunch break, and there was a little knock on the door, and the doctor walked in and says, super cute dude. And like normally I'm not like, for doctors, but this guy was pretty hot, so I was like, all right. so he says to me, well, what brings you in? I'm like, I have a rash on my butt, on my torso. I corrected myself. And then he's like, okay, well, can I see it? And I was like, of course you can. So I lifted it up, my shirt up. Thank God I wore my good bra, you know. And then he was like, okay. Then he said, well, I'm gonna, continue on with the exam. And I was like, thank you. And he asked me, he's like, can you just take some deep breaths? And I was like, for you? Of course I can. So I was breathing deep for him. And then he asked me to lay down, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is really progressing fast. So I laid down, and he said, Kelly, can you lift your shirt up one more time? And I was like, you don't have to ask twice, doctor. So I did. And then he's like, okay, you can sit up. And I was like, oh, okay. And he was blushing, and I was like, oh my goodness, I made this doctor blush. And he's like, and then he kind of laughed, and I was like, oh, well, that can't be good. And so he's like, well, you have I would say viral rash. And I was like, oh, well, what's a viral rash? And he chuckled again, and he's like, well, we normally see this in babies and toddlers. And I was like, oh, all right. He's like, oh, but adults get it too. Adults can get viral rashes too. And I was like, well, okay. So not only do I not look my age, but my immune system just won't act it.